Lamentations, New King James Version. Chapter 1, Jerusalem in affliction. How lonely sits the city that was full of the people. How like a widow is she, who has grieved among the nations. The princes among the province has become a slave. She weeps bitterly in the night. Her tears are on her cheeks. Among all of her lovers, she has none to comfort her. All of her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They have become her enemies. Jonah had gone into the captivity under affliction and heard servitude. She dwells among the nations. She finds no rest, and all of her persecutors overtake her in dire straits. The roads to Zion mourn, because no one comes to the set feast, and all of her gates are desolate. Her priests sigh, and her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. Her adversaries have become the masters, and her enemies prosper. For all the Lord has afflicted her, because of the multitude of her transgression. Her children have gone into captivity before the enemy. And from the daughter of Zion, and all of her splendor has departed. Her princes have become like deer that find no pasture, that flee without strength before the pursuer. In the days of her affliction and rambling, Jerusalem remembers all of her pleasant things that she had in the day of old. Then her people fell into the hand of the enemy, with no one to help her. The adversary saw her and mocked at her downfall. Jerusalem has sinned gravely. Therefore she had become a vile. All who honored her despised her, because they have seen her nakedness. Yes, she sigh and turn away. Her uncleanness is in her skirt. She did not consider her destiny. Therefore her collapse was awesome. She had no comforter. O Lord, behold my affliction. For the enemy is exalted. The adversary has spread his hand over all of her pleasant things, for she has seen the nation enter her sanctuary, those whom you've commanded not to enter your assembly. All her people sigh, they seek bread, they have given their valuables for food to restore life. See, O Lord, and consider, for I am scorned. Is it nothing to you, all you who pass by? Behold and see if there is any sorrow like the sorrow which have been brought on me, which the Lord had inflicted, since the Lord has inflicted in the day of his fierce anger. For above he has sent fire into bones, and in overpowered them he had spread a net for my feet, and turned my back. He has made me desolate and faint all the days. The yoke of my transgression was bound. They were woven together in his hand, and thrust upon the neck. He had made my strength fall. The Lord delivered me into the hands of those whom I am not able to withstand. The Lord has trampled underfoot all my mighty men in the midst. He had called an assembly against me to crush my young men. The Lord trampled as in a winepress the virgin daughters of Jodah. For these things I have wept. My eyes overflow with water, because the Comforter who should restore my life is far from me. My children are desolate, because the enemy prevailed. Zion, it spread out her hands, but no one comforted her. The Lord had commanded concerning Jacob that those around him became his adversaries. Jerusalem has become an unclean thing among them. The Lord is righteous, for I have rebelled against him, against his commandment. Fear now, O people, and behold my sorrow. My virgins and my young men have gone into captivity, and I have called for my lovers, but they deceived me. My priests and my elders breathed their last in the city, while they sought food to restore their life. See, O Lord, that I am distressed, my soul is troubled, my heart is overturned within me, for I have been very rebellious outside of the sword. Bereaves at home in like death. Then have heard that sigh, but no one comforts me. All my enemies have heard of my troubles, and they are glad that you have done it. Bring on the day you have announced, that they may become like me. Let all their wickedness come before you, and do to them as you have done to me. For all my transgressions, for my sighs are many, and my heart is faint. Chapter 2. God's anger with Jerusalem. How the Lord has covered the daughters of Zion within a cloud in his anger. He cast down from heaven to the earth the beauty of Israel, and did not remember his foolishness in the day of his anger. The Lord has swallowed up and has not pitied all the dwelling places of Jacob. He has thrown down into his wrath the strongholds of the daughters of Jonah. He has brought them down into the ground. He has profaned the king and its princes. He has cut off in embrace. He has cut off in fierce anger every horn of Israel. He has drawn back his right hand from before the enemy. He has blazed against Jacob like a flaming fire, devouring all. Stand like an enemy. He has bent his bow with his right hand like an adversary. He has slain all who were pleasing to his eye. On the tent of the daughters of Zion he has poured out his fury like fire. The Lord was like an enemy. He has swallowed up Israel. He has swallowed up her palaces. He has swallowed up all her palaces. He has destroyed her strongholds, and had increased mourning and lamentations. In the daughters of Jonah He has done violence to his tabernacle, as if it were a garden. He has destroyed his place of assembly. The Lord has caused the appointed feast and Sabbath to be forgotten in Zion. In his burning indignation, he has spurned the king and the priests. The Lord has spurned his altar. He has abounded his antiquity, Santiquity, Santiquity. He has given up the walls of the palaces into the hand of the enemy. They have made a noise in the house of the Lord, as on the day of the set feast. The Lord has purposed to destroy. The Lord has purposed to destroy the walls of the daughters of Zion. He has strengthened out a line. He has not withdrawn his hand from destroying. Therefore, he has not caused the rampart and walls to lament. They languished together. Her gates have sunk into the ground. He has destroyed and broken her bars. The king and her princes are among the nations. The law is no more, and her prophets find no vision from the Lord. The elders of the daughters of Zion sit on the ground and keep silent. They throw dust on their heads and gird themselves with the sackcloth. The virgins of Jerusalem bow their heads to the ground. Their eyes fall with tears. My heart is troubled. My bile is poured on the ground because of the destruction of the daughters of my people, because of the children of the infants faint in the streets of the city. They say to their mothers, there is grain and wine, as they swoon like the wounded in the streets of the city, as their life is poured out in their mother's bosom. How shall I console you? To what shall I liken you, O daughter of Jerusalem? What shall I compare with you, that I may comfort you, O virgin daughter of Zion? For your ruin is spread wide as the sea. Who can heal you? Your prophets have seen for you false and deceptive visions. They have not uncovered your iniquities to bring back your captive, but have envisioned for you false prophets and delusions. All who have passed by clap their hands at you. They hiss and shake their heads at the daughters of Jerusalem. Is this the city that is called the perfect of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All your enemies have opened their mouths against you. They hiss and snare their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up Surely this is the day we have waited for. Why have we have found it? We have seen it. The Lord has done what he purposed. He has fulfilled his word, which he commanded in the day of old. He has thrown down and has not pitied, and he has caused an enemy to rejoice over you. He has exalted the horn of your adversaries. Their hearts cried out to the Lord, O wall of the daughter of Zion, let tears run down like a river, day and night. Give yourself no relief, give your eyes no rest. Arise and cry in the night, at the beginning of the watches. Pour out your heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift your hand towards him for the life of your young children who faint from hunger at the hand of every street. See, O Lord, and consider, to whom have you done this? Should the woman eat their offspring, the children they have cuddled? Should the priests and the prophets be slain in the sanctuary of the Lord? Young and old lie on the ground of the streets, the virgins of young men, the fallen by the sword. You have slain them in the day of your anger. You have slaughtered and not pitied. You have invited as a feast day the tares and surrounded me. In the day of the Lord's anger, there was no refuge or survivor. Those whom I have bore and brought up, my enemies have destroyed. Chapter 3. The prophet's anguish and hope. I am the man who has seen affliction. By the rod of his wrath, he has led me and made me walk in the darkness and not in light. Surely he has turned his hand against me, time and time again throughout the day. He has aged my flesh and my skin and broken my bones. He has besieged me and surrounded me with bitterness and woe. He has set me in the dark places like the dead of long ago. He has hedged me in so that I cannot get out. He has made my chains heavy, even when I cry and shout. He shuts out my prayers. He has blocked my way with hewn stone. He has made my path crooked. He has been to me a bear lying in wait, like a lion in ambush. He has turned aside my ways and torn me into pieces. He has made me desolate. He has bent his bow and set me up as a target for the arrow. He has caused the arrow of his quiver. It pierced my loins. I have become the ridicule of all my people, their taunting song all the days. He has filled me with bitterness. He has made me drink wormwood. He has also broken my teeth with gravel and covered me with ashes. You have moved my soul far from peace. I have forgotten prosperity, and I have said, my strength and my hope have perished from the Lord. Remember my affliction and ramming, Roaming, The wormwood and the gale my soul still remembers and sinks within me. This I recall to my mind. Therefore I have hope, though the Lord mercy, we are not consumed, because his compassion falls not. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, the soul who seeks him. It is good that one should hope and wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. It is good for a man to bear the yoke of his youth. Let him sit alone and keep silent, because God has laid it on him. Let him put his mouth to the dust. There may yet be hope. Let him give his cheek to the one who strikes him, and be full of reproach. The Lord will not cast off forever, though he causes grief, yet he will show compassion according to the multitude of his mercies. For he does not afflict willingly, nor grieve the children of men, to crush under one's feet all the prisoners of the earth, to turn aside the justice due of a man before the face of the Most High, or subvert a man in his cause. The Lord does not approve. Who is he who speaks and is coming to pass when the Lord has not commanded it? Is it not from the mouth of the Most High that woe and well-being proceed? Why should a living man complain, a man from the punishment of his sin? Let us search out and examine our ways and turn back to the Lord. Let us lift our hearts and hands to God in heaven. We have transgressed and rebelled. You have not pardoned. You have not pardoned. You have covered yourself with anger and pursued us, and have slain and not pitied. You have covered yourself with clouds that prayers should not pass through. You have made us an offering. You have made us an offscoring. OFFCOURING. Offering. I would say offering and refuse in the midst of the people. All of our enemies have opened their mouths against us. Fear and snare have become upon us, desolate and destruction. My eyes overflow with rivers of water for the destruction of the daughters of my people. My eyes flow and do not cause without interruption, till the Lord from heaven look down and sees. My eyes bring suffering to my soul because of all the daughters of my city. My enemies, without cause, hunted me down like a bird. The silence my life in the pit and thrown stones at me. The waters followed over my hand, and I have said, I am cut off. I called on your name, O Lord, from the lowest pit. You have heard my voice. Do not hide your ear from my sighing, from my cry from help. You drew near on the day I called to you and said, "Do not fear." O Lord, you have pleased the case of my soul. You have redeemed my life, O Lord. You have seen how I am wronged. Judge my case. You have seen all the vengeance, all their symbols against me. You have heard their reproach, O Lord, all their symbols against me. The lips of my enemies and their whispering against their whisperings all against me in all of the day. Look at their sitting down and their rising up. I am their taunting song. Repay them, O Lord, according to the work of their hand. Give them a vile heart. Your curse be upon them in your anger. Pursue and destroy them from under the heavens of the Lord. Chapter 4. The degradation of Zion, how the gold has become dim, how changed the fine gold, the stone of the enemy. The stones of the sanctuary are scattered at the head of every street. The piercing song of Zion, valuable as fine gold, how they are regarded as clay pots, the work of the hand of the potter. Even the jackals press their breasts to the nursing of their young, but the daughters of the people is cruel like ostriches in the wilderness. The tongue of the infant cling to the roof of the mouth. Excuse me. I lost my place. I apologize. Even the jackals present the breast of the nursing their young, but the daughters of my people are cruel like ostriches in the wilderness, the tongue of the infant clinging to the roof of the mother of its mouth for thirst. Young children ask for bread, but no one breaks it for them. Those who eat delicates are desolate in the streets. Those who were brought up in the scarlet, those who were brought up in scarlet embrace ash heaps. The punishment of the iniquities of the daughters of the people is great than the punishment of the sin of Sodom, which was overthrown in a moment with no hand to help her. Her Nazarites were brighter than snow, and whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Like sapphire in the appearance. Now their appearance is buckler than shot. They go unrecognized in the streets. Their skin cling to their bones. It has become as dry as the wood. Those slain by the sword are better off than those who die of hunger, for these pine away, stricken for lack of the fruit of the field. The hands of the compassionate woman have cooked their own children. They become food for them in the destruction of their daughters of my people. The Lord has fulfilled his fury. He has poured out his fierce anger. He has kindled a fire in Zion, and it has devoured its foundation. The kings of the earth and all its inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversaries and the enemies could enter the gates of Jerusalem, because of the sin of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests who shield in her midst the blood of the just. They wandered blind in the streets. They have defiled themselves with blood, so that no one would touch their garments. They cry out to them, "Go away, unclean, go away. Go away and do not touch us." Then they failed and wandered. Those among the nations said, "They shall no longer dwell here." The face of the Lord scattered them. He no longer regarded them. The people do not respect the priest. The people do not respect the priest, nor show favor unto the elder. Still our eyes failed us, watching vainly for our help. In our watching, we watched for a nation that would not save us. They tracked our steps so that we could not walk in our streets. Our end was near. Our days were over, for our end had come. Our preserves, it's P-U-R-S-U-E-R-S, were swifter than the eagle of the heavens. They preserved us on the mountain and lay in wait for us in the wilderness. The breath of our nostrils, the breath of our nostrils and the anointing of the Lord was caught in their pit. For whom we said, "Under the shadow we shall live among the nations." Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, you who dwell in the land of Uz. The cup shall also pass over you, and you shall become drunk, and make yourself naked. The punishment of your iniquities it accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no longer send you into captivity. He will punish your iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will uncover your sin. Chapter 5, the prayer for restoration. Remember, O Lord, what has come upon us. Look and behold our reproach. Our inheritance has been turned over to allies, and our house to foreigners. We have become orphans and waifs. WAIFS. Our mothers are like widows. We pay for water. We pay for water. We drink, and our wood comes at a price. They pursue at our heels. We labor and have no rest. We have given our hand to the Egyptians and the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers sin and are not more, but we bear their iniquities. Servants rule over us, and there is none to deliver us from their hand. We get our bread at the risk of our lives because of the sword in the wilderness. Our skin is hot as an oven because the fever of famine. They revised the women of Zion, the maidens in the city of Judah. Princes were hung up by their hands, and elders were not respected. Young men ground at the milestone. Boys staggered under loads of wood. The elders have chased together at the gate, and the young men from their music. The joy of our hearts had chased. Our dancing has turned into mourning, and the crown has fallen from our heads. Woe to us, for we have sinned. Because of this our heart is faint. Because of this thing our eyes grow dim. Because of Mount Zion, which is desolate, with foxes walking about on it. You, O Lord, remain forever, your throne from generation to generation. Why do you forget us forever and forsake us for so long of a time? Turn us back to you, O Lord, and we will be restored. Renew our days as of old, unless you have utterly rejected us and are very angry with us. My friend, that is the end of Lamentations from New King James Version. Hope you enjoyed.